Tank carries the power. He's sneaky. Explosive.
Yeah, he sets traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power, too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds, throws so few punches, and he lets you work. He lets you work, and you're backing up, and you're always afraid of that power, and he's just moving in, trying to find that opening where he just gets in there on you.
Nah, I'm not shocked. I mean, his last fight when he fought Lamont, Jake Paul was at the fight. He told y'all he was going to fight somebody like Jake Paul. So I'm not shocked. It don't surprise me. So
Joe Rogan has given a serious warning to Jake Paul before his upcoming fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. During his recent podcast, Rogan cautioned the YouTuber turned boxer that going up against a proven knockout artist like Davis is on a completely different level from the opponents Paul has faced so far. Though Rogan recognized Jake's hard work and progress in boxing, he emphasized that Tank's speed, power, and fight intelligence could quickly reveal Paul's flaws. To Rogan, this isn't just another celebrity showdown. It's a risky fight that could end badly if Jake takes the challenge lightly.
Boxing has gone too far. Jake Paul is taking on Gervonta Tank Davis in an exhibition bout this November. The fight will be taking place in Atlanta between the cruiserweight and the 135-pounder, nearly a 100-pound difference between the two guys. This is absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below.
Rogan has often praised Gervonta Tank Davis's knockout power, calling it terrifying and comparing him to a smaller version of Mike Tyson. On his podcast with comedian Ali Sadiq, Rogan broke down Davis's 7th-round knockout of Ryan Garcia, pointing out how Davis can produce incredible power despite his compact build. Rogan noted, "It's crazy. There's nothing special about the way he looks physically." Emphasizing how deceptive Davis's strength truly is, he also highlighted Davis's aggressive fighting style, which makes him even more intimidating inside the ring.
I am a Gervonta fan. I think that guy's so unusual.
Yeah.
His style's so unusual, and it's like patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician. He's great, Mexican style, but he's also a technician. And that fight was very close before Tank stopped him.
Yeah.
But he has that power that can end it.
Well, he finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Right.
Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he's like at a world champions that are competing today at the highest level. He probably has the lowest punch count in the early rounds.
Yeah.
Because he just wait, but he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can fucking crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that. I like watching someone who's exceptional at it. Where it's just like the technique is so dialed in.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys that like Gervonta Davis is like that. Their technique's so dialed in that when you watch them uncork, it's like, oh my God, the efficiency of it. And so I was just a giant fan of the guy. I just loved as a person who like really enjoyed technique. I like watching someone who's exceptional at it.
It's just that the technique is so refined. Rogan said, "There are fighters like Gervonta Davis whose form is so precise that when you see them let a punch go, it's unbelievable the efficiency, the timing, everything about it." Rogan admitted he's a huge fan of Davis, especially as someone who truly appreciates flawless technique. Although Rogan believes Jake Paul isn't ready to take on seasoned pros like Tank Davis, he's still given Paul a lot of respect for what he's accomplished in the boxing world. He called Paul's approach a celebrity-driven sport genius, recognizing that Paul has become a legitimate boxer, earning huge paydays while showing real skill and determination. Rogan also pointed out that Paul has proven himself as far more than just a YouTuber, displaying strong fundamentals, fight intelligence, and sharp self-promotion that keeps him relevant in the boxing scene. Still, Rogan remains clear-eyed about the entertainment. It's an aspect of Paul's fights.
Is this Logan Paul? Is he a legitimate boxer?
A legitimate boxer, yes. People mocked me when I was saying that before, but now I think people are coming around. And the way I look at it, I say, if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, and you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers, or beat athletes, and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you'd go, this kid can fucking fight. he knows how to fight. Like it's not nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting well. He looks good. And if he was just an up-and-coming boxer that was this exciting, like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights, you'd be like, this kid's the future. He's really something special. If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, you'd be like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Intrigue mainly comes from the stark physical differences between the two fighters. Jake Paul, standing 6'0" inch and weighing around 199 pounds, competes in the cruiserweight division. In contrast, Gervonta Davis stands 5 feet 5.5 and usually fights at about 135 pounds as the WBA lightweight champion. This nearly 60-pound weight gap has sparked debates about the matchup's fairness and safety. Despite these concerns, both fighters have agreed to the exhibition, with Paul reportedly planning to cut down to 195 pounds to make the contest more balanced.
Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis is official. A lightweight takes on a heavyweight, a bit insane, a big size difference, but also a speed difference. I want to talk about this fight, get my picks and predictions for how it's going to play out, and basically just let's run it. So the only combat sports fight I can think of off the top of my head that was similar in the size disparity is Buckley versus Rizabuyov. Now look at these guys. Buckley is 5'6", I believe 5'7". Rizabuyov is 6'5". It just looks ridiculous. And Jake Paul, it says 6'1", but I think he's more like 6'2". He's a big fucking dude. 76-inch reach. Well, Gervonta's only 5'5", with a 9-inch reach disadvantage on Jake Paul. 9-inch reach. You're having a laugh, bud. But she's not all about size, boys. As Buckley showed against Rizabuyov, speed is a factor, and these little guys can move. Buckley actually won this fight on points. A lot of jabs to the body, overhand right, on repeat. Rinse and repeat, use your speed, get out of range. When you're in range, you're hitting the body, hitting up top. When you're out of range, you're just moving around and keeping the big man moving. I do see this going a similar way. Now, I'm not a Jake Paul hater by any means. I actually think he's pretty decent. But just the size of it, I mean, he weighs almost 100 pounds more than Gervonta. I mean, he is going to be a lot slower. And Jake isn't the most explosive and the quickest guy. I mean, like I said, I'm not a Jake Paul hater. I actually think he's pretty good. He's got power, a lot of power, but he's just not that quick. And Gervonta is very fucking quick. Now, there is no way in the world Gervonta Davis finishes Jake Paul. You cannot pay me enough on that pick. But Gervonta Davis on points, I think is basically signed, sealed, delivered. It's going to be jab to the body, move. Jab to the body and move. And jab to the body again and move. It's all it's going to be. So if you're paying for this fight, I mean, I think it's on Netflix, so most of us should be locked and loaded. But if you're going to any way to pay for this one, don't even bother. It's going to be boring as fuck. It's going to be Gervonta jabbing the body and Jake Paul missing overhands. That's what this fight's going to be. And it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be 120 to 100 in favor of the little man. 5'5", 63-inch reach, Gervonta.
For Gervonta Davis, the risks are more reputational than physical. A loss to Jake Paul, who holds a 12-1 record but lacks extensive professional experience, could damage Davis's reputation among boxing purists and fans. On the other hand, Paul has much to gain. A win over an undefeated champion like Davis would give him massive exposure and boost his credibility in the sport. Despite the backlash, the fight is expected to attract huge viewership, with Netflix set to stream the event live to a global audience. As Garcia put it, boxing's new formula seems to favor fame over merit, choosing money fights instead of real challenges, a trend he believes is steadily eroding the sport's integrity.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. Yeah. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you, you can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch a lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? You know, there's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah. But if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion, multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, you know, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside as boxers, me and, you know, Chris Algieri, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience. So we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you, you're probably going down if you're a small guy, if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned, mind you?
All right, so it looks like it's official that Jake Paul is going to be fighting Tank Davis. So pretty crazy considering Jake Paul is 6'1", 220 walking around, and Tank Davis is 5'5", and I think he's 140 walking around. So we're talking about 80-pound weight difference and then 8 inches of height. You know, everyone's been telling Jake Paul that he needs to fight real fighters in their prime. And Gervonta Tank Davis is in his prime and one of the best fighters out there, but this is just ridiculous. Let me know what you think.
Joe Rogan
has also questioned Jake Paul's recent choices outside of the Davis fight. Pointing to his decision to delay a potential bout with Anthony Joshua until 2026, Rogan expressed doubt and even joked, "I think he put on all the steroids," suggesting that the postponement seems strange since both fighters are reportedly ready to compete now. He found the delay suspicious and hinted it might be driven by hidden motives rather than legitimate preparation. Despite Paul's clear size advantage, many boxing analysts still expect Gervonta Davis to score a knockout victory. Former world champion Sean Porter confidently predicted a KO win for Tank, saying, "I'm betting on Tank. You'd be surprised." Analysts largely agree that Davis's speed, elite ring IQ, and devastating power could overcome the physical disparity. For most experts, Davis's refined skill set outweighs Paul's strength and size. Boxing. Insiders have been quick to comment on the proposed fight. While some criticize the matchup for undermining the sport's credibility, others acknowledge its enormous promotional appeal and financial potential. Proof that spectacle-driven fights continue to shape modern boxing.
What Gervonta Davis did for your preparation?
You know what? I think getting him on the back end of the sparring was more so to make sure the eyes and the focus and everything's there. He is one of the sharpest boxers I've ever been in the ring with, and I'm sure it won't change. It won't change much after being in the ring with Terrence. I would imagine that Terrence will be the sharpest, but that boy Tank is sharp.
What do you think?
Will Tank Davis knock out Jake Paul? That's a question that many people are asking now that they're actually set to fight November 14th. Most people think that the weight disadvantage is going to play a major role in how this fight's going to turn out. Personally, I could kind of see a knockout. We already saw how Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather did, and that was like the same type of weight difference, I believe. Also, on top of that, any punch could be a knockout shot. It just has to be placed well with time. And we know that Tank has explosiveness and amazing timing and accuracy. So at the end of the day, it's always possible. But do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. I think it's just going to be another Jake Paul decision fest match. I don't think that anything super exciting is going to happen, but it is kind of interesting to think about. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
If you do fight, what weight would it be at?
195. It would be an exhibition.
Okay, so it was going to be an exhibition, not sanctioned, but no restrictions. You could knock each other out and shit like that. It was going to be at a catch weight of 195 pounds, 10 rounds, 3 minutes. I've been trying to figure this out. Why was I a Tank hater for wanting to see Tank go up 5 pounds to get some smoke with like Teofimo Lopez or something? I just wanted to see him go up 5 pounds and fight Teofimo Lopez. And all of you were saying, you want Tank hurt, Showbiz. You a hater. You want him hurt. Then I'm convinced, okay, he's too small, but he can fight Jake at 195?
Daniel Cormier was stunned by the announcement of Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, emphasizing the massive 60-pound weight difference as the most surprising factor. Speaking on The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Cormier remarked that the matchup seemed more like a spectacle than a true boxing contest. Still, despite the size disparity, he interestingly named Davis the betting favorite, pointing to his elite skills as outweighing Paul's promotional power. Before Jake Paul's scheduled fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Georges Estepia offered him a word of caution about dwelling on past defeats, particularly his loss to Tommy Fury, drawing from his own experience after his shocking loss to Matt Serra. GSP warned that focusing too much on revenge can be both dangerous and unproductive. Following Paul's win over Anderson Silva, Stepia expressed genuine admiration, praising Paul's discipline, precise body shots, solid defense, and strong ring IQ. He also commended Paul's business sense and relentless work ethic, noting that both Paul brothers are talented athletes who have capitalized on the opportunities of the social media era, though he added that they still have a long way to go before being considered among boxing's.
So Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Davis. I'm serious. It's real. 199 in Paul's last fight, 133.8 for Davis in his last fight. I discussed that and so much more at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific at my YouTube channel. The link will be in my bio. But hey, I thought he was going to fight Anthony Joshua. How do you end up from Anthony Joshua to Tank Davis? I discuss.
My brother has an 11-1 boxing record. The one came from a guy by the name of Tommy Fury.
Yeah, watch that fight.
Jake, obviously, super hungry kid, wants to avenge that loss, but Tommy won't take the fight.
When I lost to Matt Serra, I was obsessed of revenge. So one of the sport psychologists, he made me take a brick and wrote the name Serra on it. So he made me carry a freaking brick in my training bag until the point I couldn't take it anymore. He made me go to the Saint Laurent River and he made me throw the brick. When I did this, it kind of releases me. But my point is that it's awful and it must stink like fucking crazy, but you need to focus on the next task because that could be a big mistake.
Boxing legend Carl Froch harshly criticized the upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight, calling it a complete mockery of the sport and dismissing Paul outright. Froch argued that the fight proves nothing, labeling Davis's recent opponents, including Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., as washed-up fighters. He went so far as to say that, for the sake of boxing, he'd gladly come out of retirement just to knock Paul's teeth down the back of his throat. In Froch's view, the matchup represents boxing's descent into clownery, and he insists he could still clean house even a decade after hanging up his gloves. The Jake Paul versus Tank Davis exhibition, critics say, is less about sport and more about spectacle. Many see it as a calculated money grab driven by massive weight differences, relaxed exhibition rules, and streaming hype rather than true competition. Former world champion Andre Berto described it as a strategic financial move, putting profit ahead of boxing's integrity. On The Herd, analysts called the bout baffling, warning that it signals a dangerous slide toward boxing becoming a sideshow attraction. Even former lightweight rival Ryan Garcia mocked the fight, calling it a joke and comparing the sport's direction to that of WWE Entertainment.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, Fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke.
Gervonta Davis openly dismissed Jake Paul as a clown who couldn't fight, insisting he wouldn't even consider facing him, not even for money. However, over time, Davis's stance softened as he began to respect Paul's dedication to the sport. "I still think he's a clown," Davis admitted, "but I'm starting to respect it, because he's not doing it just for the hype." He acknowledged that Paul's skill level is decent and praised his mental toughness, noting that Paul genuinely seems committed to becoming a real boxer. While Davis isn't yet impressed by Paul's overall ability, he now recognizes that Paul is taking the S interview.
Jake, what do you think of Jake?
Clown. He's a clown. I know that Jake can't fight. He can't fight. So
would you look at it as a joke if someone, if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come on, man?
I laugh at him. You want me to fight him? At first, I didn't like how Jake Paul was coming because of how he was making it look. But now that I see that, I feel as though he's still a clown because that's his personality. I'm starting to respect it because he's not doing it like for the hype. He was really like trying to be a boxer. I think that he's decent.
Yeah.
Like he's good. I mean, he's not good, but he's going that way.
Is he better than you thought he'd be?
Yeah. Gotta be mentally tough to be able to box. So that's why I don't take that away from some fighters or some people that want to jump into the sport. So just show how tough you are. That's how it should be.
What are your thoughts on Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Gervonta Tank Davis, despite the massive weight difference between them? Do you think it's a fair fight or just another spectacle for attention? Share your opinions in the comments below.